Hi, everybody. On this page around academic instruction for complex needs, you're going to find a lot of information. You're going to find information for strategies, how to transform the task, our bridge to curriculum, which is Jeffco's curriculum, all about differentiation. There's actually a webinar in here that's really good about differentiation. There are going to be tools and templates attached and a ton of resources to explore. But my guest today is Jacqueline Lyons, and she is a 3rd and 4th grade teacher. She has a split class, and she's an in-person teacher this year. So I'm going to have you talk first about your classroom. What kind of students do you have?
I have a variety of students with some complex needs. One that have some language, speech, and are just kind of on IEPs a little bit just lower functioning, and then some other needs as well in my classroom, but about 6 of them in my class.
You do have a lot of students on IEPs in your class, and yes, 2 in particular are heavily impacted. So tell us about what you do to differentiate for those students, because a point that I want to make on this page is that you can use the tools and differentiation strategies for students who have complex needs that you would use with kids who have learning disabilities. They apply. So talk to us about what you use for differentiation.
With some of those students, I use manipulatives because they're very visual. I also make sure that everybody has a copy of what we're talking about. It's on the board, and then I'm also modeling kind of what we're doing, so then they can just either copy what I'm doing. I'll also go around and just kind of make sure everybody's on the same page, underlining keywords for kids who just kind of, so I want them to see what we're writing instead of just copying where I found it in the text, but going around and making sure they're all aware of those words. And also giving everybody the same worksheet, but maybe scaling back the number of assignments or number of questions that they do, but they all get the same one, but focusing on a few for them to complete in a timely manner.
Okay, I heard a lot of good strategies in there that you're modeling. That one is such a good strategy for everybody, and frequent check-ins, and especially more with the students who need it. And I just lost that last one that you said. Oh, the reduced number of problems, which can be really empowering because the students are doing the same work. Everybody's working on the same concept, but it's at a reduced. So because they're the students that I know in your classroom are working at a slower pace, but they're doing the same work. So some things that you didn't mention that I've seen in your classroom too is that you're pairing your verbal instruction with visual instruction so that students know they have both inputs, because the more senses we can activate when we're teaching a student, the better. So I've seen that in your classroom. And you had already mentioned manipulatives. All those concrete materials are super helpful. And I've seen one more. You have allowed students to move wherever in the classroom they need to be to learn best. So that's a really good practice too. You've got students coming right up to the board, almost sitting right next to you. So that's awesome that you allow them to do that. Okay, so big takeaway from your classroom is that you are pretty impacted with the disabilities in your classroom, and you're using a ton of different strategies to differentiate. And the strategies that you're using for differentiation are those that would apply to students who have learning disabilities. So if anybody ever feels stuck when you're trying to plan academic instruction for students who have complex needs, think about what would you use for any student who is struggling, and that strategy will most likely apply. Okay, Ms. Lyons, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Your time is very much appreciated. Thanks, everybody.